Welcome to AI Evening News. Tonight, Google teams up with the Studio A24 to build AI filmmaking tools. Microsoft plans to power a Texas data center with its own gas plant. Amazon may start selling its AI chips to take on Nvidia, and Getty's licensed photos are coming to ChatGPT. Next, the second half of today's topics. Google just made a surprising new friend in Hollywood, the Studio A24. Its DeepMind lab is teaming up with A24, the indie studio behind films like Everything Everywhere All at Once, to build AI tools for making movies. Google says it has invested in A24, and while it won't name a number, the Wall Street Journal reports the deal is worth around $75 million. This isn't a one-off. It's a long-term, multi-project partnership where A24's filmmakers actually test the tools and tell Google what's missing. What's striking is who's saying yes. A prestige, artist-first studio embracing AI at a moment when much of Hollywood is fighting it. When the cool studio leans in, the conversation shifts from whether to use AI to how. Newsy Infra read, land the fossil power twist. To feed its AI, Microsoft is building its own power plant, something utilities usually do, not a software company. In Pecos, Texas, it's putting up a roughly 2-gigawatt data center, and right next to it, a dedicated 2.67-gigawatt natural gas plant. The plant, nicknamed Project Kilby, is being built by Chevron under a 20-year deal, and it runs off the public grid entirely. That means Microsoft isn't waiting in line for a strained electric grid. It's generating its own power, behind the meter with GE Vernova gas turbines. The catch is that all this AI power is fossil power, with the first electricity not expected until 2028. The race for intelligence is quietly becoming a race for electricity. Newsy business angle? Amazon may be about to take on Nvidia in a way it never has, by selling you its own AI chips. AWS's AI chief said the company's in talks to sell its Trainium chips directly to outside companies, not just rent them through the cloud. CEO Andy Jassy hinted at this back in April, writing, "It's quite possible Amazon will sell racks of them to third parties." Demand is clearly there. Amazon says its latest Trainium capacity sold out almost instantly, and the next generation is already spoken for. For Nvidia, a cloud giant turning its in-house chips into a product is a new kind of competition. The cloud giants don't just want to buy the picks and shovels, they want to sell them. Curious industry read, the rights and money angle. The next time ChatGPT shows you a photo, it might be a multi-year deal to bring Getty's licensed library into ChatGPT's search and discovery. Getty CEO says high-quality licensed visual content makes AI search more useful and more trustworthy. Notably, the announcement is silent on whether OpenAI can train on these images. This is a display deal, at least for now. It matters because Getty once sued AI companies for scraping. Now it's getting paid to supply them instead. Maybe the truce in the AI and copyright war looks a lot like a licensing invoice. Curious, even-handed. Give the skeptics their due. Japan's Sakana AI has a clever new idea and a wave of skepticism to go with it. Its new system, called Fugu, doesn't try to be one giant model. Instead, it acts as a trained conductor that routes your task across a pool of other AI models. You reach it through a single standard API. It can even call itself to pick the right model for each step, and a heavier Fugu Ultra handles the hardest jobs. Sakana claims this beats some leading models on coding and reasoning, while letting companies avoid leaning on any single provider. But critics aren't sold. It's a closed orchestrator stacked on closed models, so you can't see which models run or at what cost. Is routing between black boxes real independence, or just a fancier black box? OpenAI wants to point its most capable models at a quieter target, fixing the security holes in the software the world runs on. It's expanding a program called Daybreak, with a codex update that can deep scan code and write patches, plus a powerful new model, GPT 5.5 Cyber, released only to trusted defenders. Alongside it, an effort called Patch the Planet, run with Trail of Bits and HackerOne, funds open source maintainers and gives them AI tools plus human review. In just its first sprint, the project opened 64 fixes and 51 issues across 19 open source projects. The careful part is access. The strongest cyber model goes only to vetted defenders to keep it out of attackers' hands. The same AI that can break software might be what finally helps patch it. If you build on Google's Gemini, the front door just changed. Google's Interactions API is now generally available, and it's the new recommended way to build with Gemini models and agents from a single endpoint. It adds managed agents that spin up a remote Linux sandbox in one call, background execution for long-running jobs, and a simpler step-based design. It also bundles in tools like Maps, plus built-in image, music, and multi-speaker voice generation, with both Python and JavaScript kits. Importantly, the older Generate Content API still works, but the newest agent and long-running features are heading to this one. Quietly, Google is turning a chat API into an operating layer for agents. The AI race isn't only about chips that compute, it's also about chips that remember. Memory maker Micron and Anthropic signed a strategic deal to co-design the memory and storage behind frontier AI. It comes with a multi-year supply of high-bandwidth memory, DRAM, and SSDs, and Micron will run Claude internally for its own AI work. Micron is also putting money in, taking a strategic stake in Anthropic's latest funding round. Anthropic's compute chief put it simply, getting every layer of the stack right, including memory, decides how efficiently they can train and serve Claude. In the AI build-out, even the easily forgotten memory chip is now strategic. If today's signal was useful, subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's briefing.